IELTS Band 9 sample answer for IELTS writing task, general task. Right, my name is Ben Worthington. In this video, we are going to look at a Band 9 sample answer. We're going to compare it with the band descriptors, and I'll take you through it step by step. And then we're going to look at the vocabulary you need for each of the specific tasks. For example, writing a letter of complaint, declining an invitation, writing a letter to a friend. Let's jump straight into it. Here we have a very recent question that was seen on a real IELTS exam paper recently. What's very important is, just like writing task 2, is that we pay full attention to the question. As I've said before, the writing test, the writing section is the writing test is a reading test, and the reading test is a writing test. So what I'm saying is that we need to pay very, very close attention. So we are going to talk about important documents. We're not going to talk about I left something in your cab or in your taxi. We're going to really refer to important documents. Also, it's going to be to the taxi manager, and we're going to fulfill every single point here. If we don't, we cannot score above a band 7. I don't think we can score above a band 6, sorry. So this is why it's important to pay attention to every single bullet point and address each one completely. Let's just have a look at the band descriptors, and you can see for band 9 we have to have it fully satisfies the requirements of the task, clearly presents a fully developed response. So, and then if we go here for the general training, presents a purpose that is generally clear and consistent in tone. The second one here presents and adequately highlights key features, bullet points, but details may be irrelevant, inappropriate, or inaccurate. So we may have gone off track and talked about something else, or missed it and missed a certain point. So this is why it's absolutely essential we will mention every single point. Now, you may have also seen it talks about the tone. This means that throughout the whole letter, we've kept it formal. We kept it in a formal tone, which is exactly what we did here. I didn't slip into contractions. I didn't slip into a different vocabulary. It's all very formal and professional, beginning to end. Now, you can see consistent tone, and it's appropriate. Okay, I'm not writing overly aggressive. It's very appropriate, it's well mannered, and this is what we need. So also you can see here it says could be fully extended. In the sample that I'm going to give you now, I don't think it could be fully extended anymore. All of the task is covered, and probably slightly more than probably necessary, because this is what I want, a full response. I'm going for a 9. Now, you can see throughout them, all of these require that you go through each bullet point. And this is fantastic because it gives you your structure. This is how we are going to structure our sample letter. Okay, so let's go through it. So as we know, it's some documents we left in the taxi. Dear Sir or Madam, I'm writing in regards to a recent journey I made in a vehicle from your fleet on June 1st, 2018. So immediately I am telling the reader why I am writing to them. This is important because unless we make it crystal clear very quickly what we're doing, then it's going to be we're going to create reader strain. Reader strain means that I have to wait until later on in the sentence to grasp and to understand why you're writing to me. And it's only acute, it's not as if you're going to get a headache, but it's small factors like these that contribute to decreasing the flow of your writing. And the less that it flows, the more likely it is that it's going to be hard work for the examiner. So we want it to flow like liquid. Okay, so I'm writing in regards to a recent journey. Also, can you see, I could say in a taxi, but we've already got that vocabulary. So I said fleet. Fleet is more advanced, specialized vocabulary, a fleet of taxis. Okay, a fleet of trucks. It just means like a group of trucks or a group of vehicles. So also as well, car. I used vehicle instead of car because it sounds more, because we learn car in the first year of learning English, and it's very basic. Also, I want to show variety, so I'm using vehicle, I'm using taxi, and later I use cab. So I'm using different terminology here to avoid repetition. Now, also I made it crystal clear when it happened. This is just good letter writing. You'd be surprised how many students just miss off details like this, and then only afterwards can you think, like if a letter arrived at the taxi manager without the date and the time, he can't do anything. Okay, so we need to be thinking ahead and be quite specific. Also, it says describe, I'm sure it says, where is it? What you left and where it happened. So not only where it happened physically, but probably or logically where it happened in this space and time. Okay, so, and here I go into it more specifically, from London Mayfair to Piccadilly Station. Okay, it's very specific, starting around 4 p.m. and finishing 30 minutes later. So that obviously refers to the journey. So now this taxi manager knows exactly what to do. He can just check the registers. He or she can just check the register or check the computer program, whatever, and he knows, he'll probably be able to tell who was doing that shift or who was around there that time. Next, what you left, where it happened. Okay, so immediately, this is what happened. Immediately after entering the taxi that afternoon, so actually I would probably change this. I quickly started reviewing. I'd change this because I've got immediately both times. So I quickly started reviewing some very important documents, you see, containing confidential client data. Why are these papers important? I have strong reason to believe I left these documents in the cab upon reaching the destination. So upon, it's higher level vocabulary. Let's just go back here. Uses a wide range of structures with full flexibility and accuracy. So there's no errors in this writing. And also, it's a wide range of structures, okay? Upon reaching. It's not very common that you'll read that, or maybe it's not very common that you'll use it. It's quite formal, but it's very useful for changing get. Okay, so once I got to the destination, we could say upon reaching the destination, and we're just increasing the range. So these papers are of enormous value. Okay, they are very important, and I'm explaining why. And if they fall into the wrong hands, that's a very useful term, especially in this context, there could be profoundly serious implications for myself and possibly for your firm too. So this is a very serious issue, very important, and I'm really taking this task on board, and I'm not losing any points by misunderstanding it. I've taken it to heart and I'm going for it, so to speak. Okay, so the documents concern an extremely sensitive governmental topic regarding national security. It is there of paramount importance. Okay, so I'm really emphasizing that they are important. What would you like the manager to do about it? They are found and returned to me as soon as possible. So I'm saying that I want them returned, but I can't, like this, I can't just say I was on a taxi, have you found any documents? I have to say the date, the time, the location. And likewise, I can't just say, can you return them to me? I've got to give specific instructions for this taxi manager to return these documents to me. Okay, this is exactly what I would like the manager to do about it. I can't say return them to me. I have to give him instructions and details so that there is no misunderstanding. So as a result of this, I need your firm to check the security camera in the cab of the aforementioned date and time, and please send a copy to this email address, sample@sample.com. In addition, I would be terribly grateful. You see, I changed this from extremely because I'd been using extremely like 2 or 3 times already. So I changed it to terribly grateful. If you could forward the contact details of the driver, as I would like to contact him before the situation spirals out of control. Just a gentle instruction. And here's another gentle instruction. Perhaps it's not necessary, but I just want to underline and remind the examiner, I am going to get full points for task response because I fully understood that this is important. It says important twice here. So I'm just going to remind the examiner, I totally understand that this is important, and it gives me another opportunity to use some more vocabulary of dire importance, extreme importance. So can you see, I've avoided using extreme, repeating the same terminology. I'd like to believe, another good term here, I would like to believe we can solve this between ourselves without the police or MI5 interference. Regards, Mr. Worthington. So you can see here, maybe I went a little bit overboard. However, I'm not going to lose points for the grammar because it's perfect. There's lots of different structures in there, advanced structures as well, and it's all cohesive. I'm not talking about, I made the journey at 4 p.m. and then I put the date here, the date, the time, and the actual route are all together in one paragraph. You see, what I would like to do, what I would like him to specifically do is in one paragraph. And this is what makes it coherent, okay? In each paragraph has a certain task to do, and it's all the information related to that task is contained in that single paragraph. I mean, you could say maybe there's a little bit here, but here are the instructions, and that's what I would like to do. So it's not a massive issue. So you can see, and also the vocabulary, as I've been mentioning throughout, I've avoided repetition. I've used some more advanced structures. So all in all, I think this would be very good. And we're going to go now into more detail about the actual vocabulary. Here we have some useful phrases to make a complaint. We're also going to look at the vocabulary needed for writing an application, for writing letters to friends and family, and I'll briefly mention the kind of styles you need and the differences between them both. So let's jump straight into it. First one, useful phrases to make a complaint. You can get these all at the link that I share in the description. So once again, we're going to use this useful phrase of I'm writing to. I'm writing to express my dissatisfaction with you. I'm writing to complain about. And once again, we signal immediately to the reader what our intent of the letter is. Okay, now these phrases are useful, but I would recommend you obviously adapt them to your specific circumstances. So let's move on. Also at this page, you'll be able to find some sample letters so you can compare, maybe do the question and then write your own answer and just compare them. With each sample answer, I followed the structure of basically allocating a paragraph to each bullet point. This way, I know I'm going to get points for task response, and also it follows a logical structure, and it's quite easy to follow. Each paragraph has a certain task, has a certain idea behind it, and this is what makes it easier. Anyway, useful phrases to make an application. I'm writing in relation to the advertised position of marketing director, comma, seen on monster.com or seen in the Manchester Evening News newspaper, 23rd of June, whatever. Yeah, just be specific. Also, this helps with the reader strain issue I was mentioning. You know, now the reader knows exactly where it is, and it makes it seem more realistic as well. Also, when we're making a job application, there's some very useful phrases like, please find my CV attached. These are copy-paste terms that are very useful, because if we just copy-paste it, we know it's grammatically perfect, okay? And we've also got the opportunity to make it sound more realistic by using phrases like, please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any further questions. I'm available between the hours of or I'm available between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Monday to Thursday. Yeah, please find my details in the CV attached overleaf. Terms like these, they will help you because if you copy paste them and use it correctly, then there's less chance of you making a grammatical mistake. Also, it's what's expected of you, because this is the register that we're using. This is the tone, okay? And also importantly, we keep it formal all the way through the letter. By this I mean we don't slip into using contractions, and we use longer words. For example, like my responsibilities included. We don't say I had to do the advertising planning, the media buying. No, my responsibilities. Okay, we lift it up a level. So now we'll have a look at some phrases to invite or reply to an invite. I'm writing you in response to your invitation. You see, we just start off, I'm writing to you or I'm writing you. Both are okay, but it's just a very useful habit to get into, especially for formal letters. Please do let me know if you can make it. I'm writing to reply to your kind invitation regarding. Now, hopefully you can identify which are formal and which are informal. As a general rule, the formal one is going to be longer. It's probably going to be using modal verbs. We'll avoid direct questions, and it will just generally sound like something that you wouldn't say in normal English, in a normal English conversation, whereas the semi-formal version is much closer to spoken English. We're using contractions, maybe exclamations, maybe direct questions, with a question mark in there. So yeah, it's quite straightforward, I think. This is probably one of the reasons why it's believed that the general task is easier than the academic task. Because in the academic task, you've got lots more constructions and lots more information to be aware of, whereas this, you've got this vocabulary, you've got these phrases to copy paste, and it's expected that you do copy paste them. But as I said before, we do this with caution. Now, useful phrases to advise. I'm happy to advise you that it would be a good idea to, it might be a good idea to, I strongly advise you to. So use these appropriately. Don't just copy paste them, adapt them to your specific task. Also try and avoid repetition. So here you can see there's like 8 different ways of doing it, of writing them. And yeah, like you saw in my sample letter, it's good if we can vary it. Letters of apology. I regret to inform you I'm writing to apologize. I do apologize for any inconvenience caused. Once again, copy paste sentences. The best way to get these is to go to the link and you can find them, copy paste them and start using them in your letters. But if you're very serious about improving, then getting feedback is a wise idea. Otherwise, you can just be writing and writing and writing and not really knowing if you are improving. So just a word of warning there. So final letters to make a request. And then we're going to move on to the informal letters. Well, I've got them here. It's, would it be possible to, could you please, So you can see these ones are the formal ones, and at the bottom there we've got the more direct question: can you, will you? Okay, now some informal letters, phrases: hi, hello, when we're starting off. Here we don't really need to use "I'm writing to," yeah, because we wouldn't say this if we were just messaging our friends. So maybe a good way to think about it is formal letters here, semi-formal, so an email to a colleague, you might ask, informal, and then your text messages, okay? You're messaging on WhatsApp or whatever you're using, Viber. So here as well, we're using contractions, and we can be a little warmer. By warmer, I mean if the letter says write a letter to a family member, you can finish with lots of love, stuff like that. Okay, so there we go. If you need more help with this, then have a look at the link, and also consider getting your work corrected. And if you want more terms, more vocabulary, and some more sample letters, have a look at the online course. It's very useful, and we've seen some big improvements with students writing letters there. Okay, thank you very much, and have a great day, and all the best with your IELTS preparation.